morning. It is Friday, July 19th, 2024. It is Expiration Friday. This is Option Pit Live. We're here every Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I am Mark S. Sebastian, your only option. I am joined by one, Leisha J. Leslie, the Queen of the Candles. Good morning, Leisha.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great. We've got a lot to discuss. We've got
How's our audience
global.
doing? How's everyone out there doing?
How is the audience doing? How's your Friday? Are you
Yeah.
affected by the global outage that is affecting people worldwide?
Yes.
We had a presidential nominee speech last night. We've got, we're in the throes of earnings season, but I've decided today's commentary or today's discussion will be about how the markets are in turmoil, to quote another place. So on the 18th, yesterday, Thursday, that was our first touch below the S&P's 21-day moving average since June 3rd. We're at levels that the market has not seen since July 5th. Just absolute pandemonium in the market. No, this is just a relaxed off, but there is a lot to unpack here. So let's start with Leisha, this CrowdStrike outage, because this, I didn't really have a lot to talk about besides the Trump speech, but that was really late, so I didn't have that in the notes until this morning. This crowd outage is really bad.
The stock's down. It's under 300. It closed at 343 last night. It's trading 300.
Yeah, I mean, this is down from over $400 on the 8th to under $300 today on the 19th. So it has been a slide for Crowd, along with a lot of these other high-flying names. I think that's kind of the one theme is some of the, to quote, to not pun intended, the crowded trades seem to be getting punished the most.
Well, CrowdStrike this morning is this IT outage that was due to an update they were performing.
Yes, it was not a hack. It was an update, but
I believe Microsoft may be involved too somehow. Microsoft's down 6.
Oh, yeah. I would expect this is going to, today. And here's kind of what I want to discuss is that, we've seen this pretty decent sell-off in the Qs. And we've seen a little sell-off in the SPY. But it's been driven by Microsoft and Apple and NVIDIA. Since NVIDIA topped out, for real on July 10th at over $135. It bottomed out down over $20. It's a nice 10% pullback in the third from the largest company in the world to the third largest company in the world. Microsoft's now the second largest company in the world. Apple has taken over as the largest company in the world. All these mega names, we call them here at Option Pit the Great Eight. They are Apple, Amazon, Broadcom, Microsoft, Meta, NVIDIA, Tesla, and Google. And those are the names that have been driving the sell-off. So, Alicia, what do you see in the charts across, a lot of these names? Now, obviously, Tesla, probably a little better performer of late. But what are you seeing in the S&P and the Qs here?
SPY itself is sitting on some pretty good support right here. Doesn't mean it'll hold. Yesterday's lows all had hit support. So that's going to be key, as it always is, right? To hold that low of the previous day. That will be important. If not, SPY can trade down here at 543.5. SPX, again, we have to watch for yesterday's low to hold. And below there, it will be nice round even 5,500, which is only 44 points away. So below there will be 45, 45, or I'm sorry, 54, 45. Maybe a little support in here, right around the 55 for sure. So it looks to me on my chart and logically all those nice round even numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Qs.
Yeah, I want to look at I want to hit on the cues because that's where the weakness in the market has been the S&P's dog is the triple Q right now. And that has been really what's driven us lower the last few days.
Yesterday's low lines up with these previous lows here. That was providing the support. Today, the median line comes in at 473.60. So watch that number. And that lines up with these lows right here. And then from there, we'll be closing this gap. That'd be 468.
Jeez.
So 473.60 will be a key area if we break through yesterday's lows.
Well, interestingly, your support level, the 50-day moving average for the Qs is 469.74. So that is a level. Kind of feels like a magnet, doesn't it? That
Coincides.
level
When
there.
they coincide, it makes it more powerful for sure.
Yeah. Now the two ones that have actually been really interesting this week, leading into this Q sell-off, we've been talking about the underperformance of the rest of the market. Well, I don't think anybody's arguing that the Russell 2000 is underperforming anymore. That was a parabolic rally, followed by a couple of really nasty candles. What's your take on what we're seeing here in the Russell 2000?
Well, it's funny how it was just wallowing for weeks here, right?
Mm-hmm.
As everything else is flying, the IWM just could not catch a break till suddenly it did. It blew through two resistance levels, could not break my 227 up here. And actually, let's see, this is Wednesday. Change in trend, shooting star candle. Yesterday we had the confirmation. It could trade down here, 215 and below there, 212 and a half.
Yeah.
Then another gap at 210, 211. So it can fall as quickly as it rose, right?
Yes, absolutely. Another name that actually did take a little parabolic move was the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the diamonds.
Right.
Another group that had just been kind of wallowing now is doing better than the Russell 2000, but that's not saying much. It's like saying I can beat my 7-year-old in basketball. But what we did get over last week was a really powerful up move in the Dow Jones until Thursday.
Right. Big reversal candle yesterday. And this will take it down today to the support level 403 and a half.
403 and a half.
And way below there, right there is 400, right?
What I thought was interesting on Thursday was that was the first day that we'd seen every major index really down, right? Up until then, we were seeing the Qs and the SPY down, but we were seeing the Dow rally and the Russell rally. While yesterday on Thursday, it was let's sell everything but maybe oil and a few things like that. What was your take on the markets in turmoil that took place on Thursday, July 18th?
Well, you and I and Andrew, as we always say, as market makers, we're generally like, this can't keep going on. We need a pullback. We're looking. We've been literally for 2 weeks, if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Waiting for this pullback. I've been watching for a change in trend candle, but the reason they say the trend is your friend is this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Is your friend, do not buck the trend because you'll just lose every time until we get that. Now there's a change.
Right. And the funny thing is you say like, oh, look, I called this. Yeah. Unless you called this sell off 3 days ago, if you called it at the beginning of July, you're still a loser.
Right.
So, it generally speaking, one of the mantras is we can be bearish here at Option Pit, but we can't trade our bearish sentiment until we get the bearish move.
For sure.
And we did it, and we did play it, right? We had some really, really nice wins. You an option shopper, I believe you in a in TQQ, what you bought puts in the morning, we're out by the afternoon, right?
Yes, yes, they were fantastic. I paid 115, sold them at 260 and 245.
Nice
So
trade.
yeah, great trade. Oxy went our way. It was great. And Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart, you did great
Oh,
on.
Square. We had Square puts also.
Oh
Those worked out
yeah.
really well. Those
Yeah, it
worked
was
out
funny.
really
I
well.
was in one of my sessions. People are like, "Dude, Leash's square puts are crushing it." I'm like, "I've got some good trades on too." They're like, "Yeah, but hers are crushing it." Uh, so, but so it's important to ride this sell off as it's happening, but don't get overly exuberant about being short, because that is how a good trade gets just shoved down your
Exactly.
throat in this market, because the speed with which they can reverse. Because I mean,
Exactly.
you look this morning and markets are up. Don't trust a bull. Don't trust a pre-market bull when we're in a little bit of a mini bear market, until markets usually rally when we open down and then rally. They don't typically rally when we open up on the heels of multiple days of selling and then pull, and they don't typically take off from that level. Now it can happen,
I was just
but
going to say it can happen, but yeah, generally it's the
it
other
can
way.
happen, but don't trust a bounce rally pre-market until after like an hour. Look at the price action yesterday on the 18th. We opened
Right.
up. We were up over almost 0.5% in the S&P within the first hour. And then right at the hour mark, you and I are doing 0 DTE, and they just start absolutely slamming the market. And you and I flipped. I was on live with you. We flipped,
Yes. And
went short, bought
here's the
TQQ put.
reason why. When it
Yeah.
accelerates through that support level, it often, very often, comes back 9 times out of 10, retests that. And that's where you realize, okay, this isn't going to be able to bust through there. We're trading lower.
Mm-hmm.
But I have
All
to
right.
say, I did get out of, I'm out of pretty much everything this morning. I got out yesterday. I thought we could totally boomerang at any point, and I was seeing some spots of support. So I did cover everything, took my money, and
Mm-hmm.
you can always roll, right? You can always start fresh. You can always re-enter. Don't be afraid to take your money. You can always re-enter a trade.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing. We had come in with an IWM short into yesterday, took that off, took a tiny slice of the win and bought an extra put just to have it.
Right.
But locked in 80% of our gains, closed, Apple puts, things like that. Anything I was like heavily short, it's I killed, and then maybe took a tiny bit of the win, right? I'll play with house money. I will not play with my money, is the way I look at it.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting day today, for sure.
Yeah. Looking at crowd, do you have any kind of levels that one can move? Because I'm sure people are
Actually,
watching.
yeah. It's down, it's 297 half right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had 304 as support right there.
Okay.
And down here, 279, 280.
It's gonna be an interesting long up coming off of this.
Yeah.
Because they are just absolutely, up until this, they had just been absolutely killing it from a P&L standpoint.
You're talking about airlines being grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully they fix it before our flight's on Sunday.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
I'm sure they will.
Hopefully it'll
I
be
believe the
cleared
patch
up.
is already in place. It's just about rebooting systems. A couple more things that I wanted to briefly look at. Oil names have been really hot. Industrials have been doing pretty well.
Oh,
Where are you on oil?
We had a really nice trade in Oxy.
Mhm.
Oil's it had a really nice holding support here. He had a really nice bullish day on Wednesday, but then
Mhm.
kind of failing a little bit here, retesting that support. Hard to say. It's got to hold that support there before it takes another leg higher. The dollar, always look at the dollar when you're talking about commodities.
Yes.
See that? The dollar had a little bear trap there. Trading below support one day, closes well below, and then bam, it's rallying again. So
Yeah, I
dollar
mean,
looking like it wants to rally again.
I think the dollar is going to rally here a little bit. It is. Um, all right. Well, do you have any other charts that you want to hit on, Leisha?
NVIDIA is interesting to me, and I'll show you. Trading right down to the pitchfork support, and as you can see, it follows this pitchfork very well.
Mm-hmm.
Little hammer yesterday.
Oh wow.
It could try to close this gap, 124.70. You know, maybe not a long-term long, but I would watch today. But you need to clear these highs right here. Don't do anything. Got to clear the highs. Wait till an hour and a half after we've opened. If it starts trading higher, maybe a day trade up to close that gap. If it fails, 116.40 is your support.
We did see a little bit of bullish people taking some flyers on a little reversal there.
Oh, did
One
you?
of the best trades I've seen all year happened in Nvidia on Tuesday. On Tuesday, they bought they being a large institution. People always ask me, who's they? They is the bad guys, and that is large institutions,
The bad
Citadels,
guys.
Goldmans. They,
Goldman Sachs.
they. I know it sounds very conspiratorial, but that's what we say is they.
It's true
Um,
though. We've seen it with our own eyes.
yeah. So they bought on Tuesday the 119 115 put spread in Nvidia for 20 cents. Sold it at $1.35 the next day.
Nice.
It was
Yeah,
a
here's
great
Tuesday's
spread.
candle.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
20 cents.
20
Nice shot.
cents. It was a great shot. 60,000 times. They made $7 million.
Insane. Insane.
It's incredible. DTNTC is asking, can you take a quick look
Gold.
at gold before we bring
Sure.
in one Andrew T. Giovinazzi?
I have the futures hitting my resistance here on this beautiful pitchfork that it follows so nicely. I do have some support levels here, of course, right there, 2,400 on the futures. Below there, today's support is 2380. And then for GLD, yeah, GLD hit resistance there. This is called dark cloud cover. I do have a little support below yesterday's low, 225.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that 225 level. If we close below 225, we could trade down to 221. So GLD, watch the 225 level.
All right. Well, let's dig in on.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. We're already trading to 222. So the dollar is affecting. Yeah, it's already trading 222.
It's down $3.60 pre.
There you go.
A couple bucks pre.
I have support right here, 221.40.
Yeah.
And then below there, 216.5. Sorry about that. I kind of missed that.
Yeah, gold down big today, 1.5% pre-market. Kind of interesting there. Pre-market, the dollar looks flattish. Looks flat. All right. So now that we've hit the charts, let's bring our roving Viking of volatility, a direct descendant of Leif Erikson, I believe, if Leif Erikson was Italian. One Andrew T. Giovinazzi. Andrew, welcome. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
All right, with the
It's good to be here.
welcome Viking of volatility, Andrew T. Let's hit on some of these major news news pieces. What's your take on this crowd outage? Because this seems like a pretty darn big deal.
Well, I mean, I guess Lisa was just saying if they cause their own problem, they can fix it.
Right.
So it's temporary. Now liability and all that stuff, I don't know enough about that space to know if they're going to be drilled in the liability department on it. If it causes big trouble. But if it was a hack and it was out of control, then I think things might have got a little bit dicier. Just maybe because maybe half the world can't trade or whatever. All of a sudden,
that would be a problem.
That could be a problem. So that is one thing. I think. But we have every Friday we've come here in the last 6 months. And we're like, oh, the market starts a little weak in the morning. And we're like, we're going to be up on the day. I mean,
yeah.
It's been hard to short a Friday. And I kind of liked we get this little tepid bounce in the morning. I think, I'm kind of an old school when I look at news and volatility. It takes news that adds uncertainty generally makes the market more volatile. So this week we went from at the beginning of the week, Joe's staying in to Joe maybe now is leaving because Nancy or whoever said you got to go. So that is potentially destabilizing. I think the market just thought, oh, Trump is just going to be biting and everything's going to be hunky dory. Right. And that's probably not what's playing out. Now we don't know what's going to happen. And once you throw that little pall of uncertainty over things, weekends coming, announcements, I would be surprised if we held a bid today just on that alone. Even though, as we all know, the country still runs and, the U.S. still is the U.S. until somebody screws it up. But that uncertainty kind of makes the bid go away.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think the big tech earnings have been great. Now, Netflix subscriber growth, it's up $6. Normally it's been rallying like $50, right?
Yeah, I know. I wanted to talk about Netflix because their earnings were good, but we've seen this repeatedly. I mean, Micron, Netflix and Micron, very similar, right? Micron opened up small after their earnings, beat bottom and top line, raised guidance a little bit. Netflix did the same thing. Micron, Taiwan Semiconductor, closed down on Thursday after, like I said, bottom line beat, and slight raise in guidance. Netflix giving the exact same issue, having the opening up small. Is this a trend? We've had
ASML
great earnings and they're not buying them.
Right. So, I think they've run you're also to the market at some point, investors okay, we believe in the future, right? We believe in the future. The future is bright. Then you're just seeing this is as good as we can do for the year. So now you kind of have a ceiling on it. And they're like, well, maybe I'll take a little off here because I'm up 100, 200% in a year and a half or 2 years, right? It's a pretty solid run for semiconductors.
I have to give you both a huge compliment. Last week, the beginning of last week, our morning meetings, what'd you guys say? If earnings aren't perfect, these stocks are going to roll over.
Right.
Totally said that last week. Beginning of I want to say it was last Monday in one of our morning meetings.
Yeah.
So
you called it.
What would you say, Mark? Their price per can I even say that? Price for perfection.
Yes. And
it didn't happen.
Good is the enemy of great, and these earnings have been good, and so that is where we're getting sold.
So and all it takes now is just it's just that we're not rallying to all-time highs anymore. So we're down 1%, 2% from the top. it's barely even a sell-off. I mean, you
No,
got
I
to be
know.
realistic. It's
Well,
not like
it's
we're doing
because
5
money-
or 7, right?
I mean, you've had a legit sell-off in the triple Q, but not in the S&P because money's been rotating, right?
Right.
We saw money leave the Q and enter the Dow, the Russell, industrials, everything like that, right? The Qs are legitimately, I mean, I'm not going to call it like, they're not crashing, but that's a legitimate drop from it at the top, right? I mean, we're talking 10%.
Oh, is it
Maybe
down
not 10.
10% from
What,
the top?
what is
Or
that? About
5?
5%.
Okay.
That's a decent
something.
haircut. Right.
Yeah.
It's a haircut. But that money didn't leave the market. What I thought was interesting yesterday, and I'd love both of you feel free to weigh in. At least you already did a little bit, but Thursday was the first day that every major index was down at the same time. I don't know if so my thought is that's either a bottom or a seminal, the beginning of, or the beginning of something more, right?
It's a pivot point for sure.
Right. It's the end of a date, and the question is, does she want to go out with you again?
Do you kiss her goodnight?
Or is she give you? Did she stick out her hand and say, "Nice to meet you"?
It is also too, like, we're still waiting. We've got another week to go for the rest of the earnings, right? We're not.
Yes.
We need Microsoft, we need Google, we need Apple. Nvidia is later in the cycle.
Yes.
But you need the solid chip earnings, like the AMATs and the like Lam Research and all that kind of stuff to come through. I think you're kind of seeing the writing on the wall somewhat. Just because they're probably going to be really good, but like you said, Mark, good's not great. So it feels like it's going to get softer, and unless there is a real bid for the rest of the stocks, like the Russell showed, we're flat to whatever. But it's funny, I say that, and then next week things take off. So I think the first thing is, as much, Mark, I know, as you think like the politics is all crap sometimes, but I think it is playing in a little bit of the uncertainty right now. And if just Joe steps down, he's like, I'm done. And then at least then you're going to know. And I think that would be a short-term, like, little relief rally probably on that.
Maybe. We'll see. I do not think this presidential race matters at all. I think this is all interest rate driven, earnings driven, and kind of like the froth that of this reeks of the year 2000. The AI boom is the internet boom in a lot of ways. Now, the thing to remember about the year 2000 is if you pick the right stocks, in the year 2000, even at the peak of the .com boom, right? If you bought Amazon and Microsoft and and Google and the companies that were through, how much more money do you have?
Yeah, but you drew down 80% from that level.
You did. Well, I mean,
and now then you did well, like 2002, right? Everything bottomed, but
right. But my point is that the AI bubble, right? The AI boom here. If you invest in all of them, you're probably going to lose. But if you pick a couple of the ones that we know are going to win, you will probably at some point face a bad drawdown. But 15 years from now, you'll probably have more money than you started with. That's kind of my point.
Well, another one is who's making real money off of AI. I mean, the name
NVIDIA
that always comes to mind. We'll do the names I didn't put on the list, but I have a name for the list anyway.
Ooh.
Andrews. I have one name I put on, but then another name that we've talked about a little bit in the past. But.
All right, I can't wait. So, Alicia, were you looking at any interesting stocks for the week that you were kind of bullish on?
As I said, NVIDIA.
Okay.
Watch for it. TSM also at a nice support level with a nice hammer yesterday. We have Yeah, keep your eye on these two. But
I like
on
the
the
TSM
downside,
one.
if you're looking for some puts somewhere, Wells Fargo looks like it could trade lower,
Wells Fargo.
like down $3, 2.5.
Remember when that was
I've had
like
a Wells
the
Fargo
lynch?
account since it was Crocker Bank in like 1981, I think.
Oh man, remember when
You really
that
want
one
to feel
in?
old? Have a
Remember in
40-year-old bank account.
Remember in 2010 when everyone was like, "Wow, Wells Fargo is the best bank."
No, I
Man, did
don't.
they fumble. Leadership. That's just shows you what the difference bad leadership can make.
Yeah.
I had been bullish 3M, which looks all right. Amazon, not as nearly as much. But this is one that got thrown out to me yesterday, although I liked it a lot more in the middle of the day, was because it looks like it's just shooting started. New Fortress Energy, NFE. This is one I've seen a ton of bullish flow in. It bottomed, had a really nice rally here the last few days, but maybe is a little running out of steam. But this is one that I liked as a potential bull play. And the other one that I'm really bullish on, even though it's been just awful, is Schwab.
Oh, Schwab.
I think it's ready for a post earnings bounce. Oh, look at New Fortress break it out. I mean, Schwab got absolutely annihilated post earnings. So this is one I like.
Look at that, right down to the median line mark.
Mm-hmm. So I bought myself. I went long some calls.
Use a close over below 62 for a stop loss. It's nice and tight.
Yeah, did you guys like last year? Remember when all the banks, Silicon Valley Bank, and all that stuff?
Yeah.
What happened to all that? It's like
Gone.
No one cares.
nothing. Like
No one
a
cares.
couple of banks died, and then it's
then we
amazing
rallied.
what changing the mark-to-market rules does for.
Yes. Yes. Now
Just
my
a little
understanding
change
is
here, a little change there. Then everything's fine.
A little there.
so. My understanding is that they are being affected by the Schwab outage. We are the CrowdStrike outage. Leisha mentioned the airlines are affected by the crowd outage. But you know what is absolutely impenetrable from a cybersecurity threat? A place where we can always find a safe ride. It is Andrew's trading vehicle. In this segment, Andrew is going to take us for a ride in how he wants to trade this stock this week. Take it away, Andrew.
Thank you, Ruben. If you want to put up the slide for people. So this is a VIX curve from Livevol. And what you're going to notice is, besides the big red circle I put on there, is what does the VIX curve tell you that the market thinks is going to happen? Now, I'm going to put out like a 8 to 10 minute YouTube video on this subject, but I was just going to touch on a couple of points here now. So basically, the way I look at it is anytime the VIX cash line, which is the green line in the picture, is higher than the futures, that means the market is looking for a more unstable VIX cash number, which means, again, all my opinion, but means that VIX cash is more likely to move in the short term up or down. Now, even though this is a predominantly contango curve, meaning you're sloping up from the near term on the left to the far term on the right, besides that big election hump, which I expect is just going to get, the hump's going to get bigger if there's more uncertainty coming out about the election, but we'll see. It's a good thing to track. So if you just want to track that, you track the October to the November cycle and see if the October keeps growing relative to the November. So that's the number that you want to look at there. Anything that's happening before the election, the August and the SEP you don't care about. So you care about the 2 terms after the election. So right now, VIX is what I would say in an unstable area. So normally, like for last couple of weeks, VIX has been like 12, 13. Markets kind of been going straight up. There wasn't a lot of variation expected in VIX because you had kind of steep contango, meaning VIX cash, the green line, was way lower than the yellow line. Now, right now, we are what I would call backward to the August and flat to September, meaning those lines are about SEP, the SEP future, and the cash are the same. So in real terms, what that means is a lot of the shorter term vols in SPX are higher. So it basically means is back month volatility really isn't moving much, up a little bit, but the front term vols are moving a lot. And as Mark and Lisa were alluding to, we've got a little bit of a sell-off. Things are a little bit more uncertain. So all of a sudden, all those vols are shifting upward, and VIX has shifted upward. So, you have 0 DTE, and they're saying 0 DTE is killing the VIX and all that. Well, we really haven't had a lot of more than 1% down days close to close. What we had 1 this week, we were down a little bit last week, and VIX shot up to 16 already. So when you think about it, like VIX is still working fine. All of a sudden, the vol on the 0 DTE stuff, though, just blows up. Now, for a trade here, what I would do is I just look at VIX strangles. Anytime it gets flatter, I go about a month out. So right now I'm pricing August strangles in VIX. I expect the index to move. Volatility still has not screamed to over 100, 110, 120. So VVIX it's definitely not super cheap. What I do is I cheat on the strangle a little bit. I'll buy a call spread, usually about 10 points wide, and then I'll buy a VIX put relatively close to the money. My figuring is if this actually becomes a vol event and VIX takes off, it doesn't really matter what call spread you buy in VIX. They're all going to pay something. And then eventually vol dies down and your put pays. So that's what I would do here for VIX. Look for a YouTube video on this subject. Today, Justin probably will post it next week to describe exactly why the curve does what it does. But again, I'm thinking VIX is more unstable. And again, wouldn't surprise me after some earnings come out end of next week. If they're bad, we could see a higher vol number, higher VIX number. But if they're just okay and then the news starts coming out, it's not going to surprise me to see VIX dive to 14 to 13 again relatively fast. And then you'd be like, wow, what happened? What happened to, everything just looks so bad and now it's not. So the curve right now is still telling you that VIX can easily go up or down 2 points in the next week or two. So that is Andrew's trading vehicle for today.
What a great vehicle, Andrew. We love looking at VIX. So folks, on Sunday, the 3 of us, along with the rest of the Option Pit team, we're all flying to Chicago. We're going to be hosting our conference, our Option Pit Conference 2024 at the SIBO headquarters. Monday, we're going to be having some fun at a Cubs game. We're going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff. So
Monday night, because Monday day we'll be trading.
Yes, Monday during the day we're going to be trading all day Tuesday, trading all day Wednesday. It's too late to join us live, but if you'd like to join us for the live stream, that is now available. That is something that you can purchase, and you're going to get amazing actionable trades. I recall last year, Alicia and Olivia Voznenko, Voz, the 2 of them collaborated and won 9 out of 10 trades, I believe, all basically overnight. I got to tell you, though, I was a little disappointed. I'm expecting better of you guys. I want 10 out of 10 this year, Alicia.
You got it.
All right. Andrew's going to be revealing some new strategies. He and I are going to be releasing our new portfolio. I'm going to be releasing something on non-correlated returns. Andrew's going to be teaching you how to get your stock for free. Should be a lot of fun and really educational, really actionable. If you're interested in joining us, I'm tweeting out the link to join us. We want to see you guys on our live stream. The nice thing is it'll be interactive. We'll have somebody monitoring chat, asking questions for the chat for everybody watching remotely. So it's a great way to interact with us. So I'll be tweeting that out here shortly. Please join us. We want to see you. All right, we're running up against it. Where are you guys thinking how do you guys think we act for today? You bullish or bearish or what's your take, Andrew?
I'm just going to go with the uncertainty on the news, the weekend, is probably end up a little lower today, and volatility a little higher by the end of the day. But you could have definitely a choppy day. You could have some head fakes.
Absolutely. Leisha?
I think that they're struggling right now to try to open a little bit higher. I think we're going to get another third red candle on all these indexes. And I don't know if it's going to be major league, but I think we're going to test some new lows, recent lows.
Yeah. And, what I will say is typically sell-offs happen in 3-day increments.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the first day all 4 of them sold off. If today is really ugly, then watch out for Monday. If today is an inside day, it might be the end of that 3-day sell-off. So that's something to be aware of. I think there's still more downside. I think the easiest short is the Russell 2000 of the 3 of the major indexes. Just because it got so overbought so quickly. The rest of them, maybe the S&P, right at its 21-day moving average, hasn't closed below the 21-day moving average since May 2nd. So, could we see a close below there? Yeah. And then the Qs, if we do sell off, Leisha's support and the 50-day are all about, call it another 2% lower. That would be a natural spot for us to maybe move toward today and then maybe build support. So yeah, I'm probably with you guys. I'm a little bit bearish. But what I'll say is if we're wrong, I think the rally is going to be a face ripper. So if it's 11
We've seen it.
If it's noon Eastern time and the market is rallying instead of selling off, 0 DTE calls may be very much in order. That would be my recipe for trading today.
I could see that.
It's the best recipe I have outside of the recipe that makes Option Pit live. We've got a great base of Leisha and Mark, and then the delicious frosting, sprinkles, and birthday candles, Andrew T. Giovinazzi and his trading vehicle. We want to thank everybody for joining us here. Again, join us virtually in Chicago. We can't wait to see you. I am so for Andrew T. Giovinazzi, the Viking of Volatility, and Leisha J. Leslie, the Queen of the Candles. I'm Mark Sebastian, your only option. Have a great one. We'll see you next Friday.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Take care.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.